front and Soldier Boy, as long as you can take all of us.
Yep.
It's good to see you. It's amazing to see you. Excellent. It's great to see you.
Come on, I'm curious, short.
All right.
Get short.
Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. All right. Good to see you. Thank you.
Oh, boy.
Thank you. Homelander here. Subscribe now to Raze Chaos. Or don't. I don't give a fuck what you do.
And welcome back, everybody. My name is Raze Chaos. You have made it back to this channel, and I am so happy to see you back. And today, we are continuing on with Raze's Christmas gifts, part of Raze's Christmas haul. This is the boys' Firecracker that was given to me by my cousin, who, I lost where I was going to say. He is also the person who, my cousin and his family, also contributed the Megan figure from last week. I don't remember if I mentioned that or not, but that's where it came from. That is what the other Funko Pop that I got from him, and I have got the burps. And we're going to go ahead and put this guy away, and we're going to talk about Firecracker. Okay, this is Firecracker. This is from The Boys, season 4, I believe. I haven't really watched the whole thing, so I don't have a whole heck of a lot to talk about. The character itself didn't actually originate in the comic, which, if you know Raze, you know he devoured that book all the way front to bottom, even the little extra book that they put out after the show was announced, because Garth Ennis, he needed to put something out that was just for him. Garth Ennis, of course, who created and made The Boys, and that was his property that went on. He also created The Preacher, so he's got a couple of shows out there that are not doing his stuff does not translate very well. To get a quick analysis of it, The Punisher, with Thomas Jane, that a lot of that was based around the storyline of Welcome Back, Frank. And that was a Garth Ennis story. The Russian, those characters. And yeah, it's kind of like, why did you go there if you couldn't go all the way? And The Preacher kind of tried to do that just by going weird, but the way they set things up, it was a little hard to follow. Raze tried to get into that show a couple of times. Tried to get into that, and just wasn't gelling in Raze's head. The Boys has been doing a much better job, but they have a much easier platform to play with because, it's gory and it's brutal. And, for as much controversy as the show likes to generate as far as that goes, the show is nothing compared to the actual comic series. A bit ironic and very fitting, Raze can say, the Boys series is like the made-for-TV version of the book. There are several things that were just like basically episode titles that were actually entire storylines. Several characters did a bunch of different things. And now that we're in season 4, or season 5, whichever one we are in, I lost track. Raze will get caught up, don't worry. He loves that show. The thing about it is that they have deviated from the books. So a lot of the stuff that they've revealed in the show weren't necessarily how things were done in the book. So it has pivoted in a way to where not really sure how the story is going to unfold, because the book was wild enough, and I don't know if they're trying to top it or if they're just trying to keep this this show open in order to play with and, you know, make whatever statements they're trying to. It is got it. They are using you are getting a lot of politics with the TV show. They are pushing it, and Firecracker was created for the show, and she is definitely a statement being made. She is, for lack of a better term, an extremely alt-right, far-right conspiracy theorist, perpetuating the alternate facts, whatever you want to call them. Just being that person that will knowingly perpetuate a lie as long as it furthers their goal. And I won't say, I'm not going to say that only one side does that. Both sides do that. But right now, one side appears to be doing it quite a bit. And they need to reel that in. But I'm pretty sure that's the statement being made by him. They've created, and yeah, this is the character that they're having embody this. She is about as close to being a Nazi as you can get without actually being a Nazi. Several similar traits, we'll just say that. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and take we're gonna go ahead and take Firecracker out, and we're gonna have a look at her. And here she is. She's looking great. The Firecracker is actually played by a woman named Valerie Curry, who is really, like, you gotta say, owning the character, because since, unlike a lot of the characters from The Boys, she is helping create as she plays the character, which is very freeing in a lot of ways, I could imagine. There's nobody, like, nitpicking, like, oh, that's not how the character is. But we would be remiss if Raze didn't spit out a little bit of comic book trivia at you. So in the show, they talk about how Firecracker was originally a character called Sparkler, and I guess Starlight, like, says or does something to her that really kind of pushes her onto the bad side in a permanent way, which, you know, I don't remember exactly what that was. But I do know that's one of her main things, is she's got this real hate on for Starlight. And the cute thing about it is that the fact that the character's name was originally Sparkler, I think that's funny, because that's like a funny way of being able to use that name. But there was a DC character called Sparkler that was in the Force of July, which was kind of the patriotic team back when in the 80s, when DC basically liked to put out small teams, like 5 or 6 characters of unknown, brand new characters, I guess you'd say. They would be like brand spanking new. They would be completely for that specific team, and they'd have no backstory before that. And DC just liked to pop these teams out, like, quite often, and they were usually very themed. So Sparkler was in the Force of July, which had Major Victory and Mayflower and Silent Majority, and they were basically fodder. They were just basically characters that DC could slap around and everything. But I think it's cute that I don't know if they just use Sparkler as a precursor to Firecracker, or if they were like, well, you know, we can use Sparkler, but we will make her into Firecracker. That way it's not a total rip on the DC property. It would be a weird thing to think that DC would go after that, especially because that character's dead. But you never know. I mean, once when it comes to a licensed character, a licensed property, if they can sue, they will. Because hey, that's my intellectual property, and you cannot use it. That's why Raze enjoys checking out what's in the public domain. But yeah, it's a pretty good, pretty interesting little factor. It's also just not to heavily be on to DC completely. One of the interesting things about this is that she actually, you know, she's a much more powerful character. They kind of show that she was Sparkler, and her powers weren't what they could be, and as she got older, they got stronger, and I love that because we finally actually get to see that is essentially that's Jubilee from the X-Men, because she puts out her firecrackers, and everybody always says that she's a lame character and everything, but what they don't like allow you to realize is that she is exactly the reason why Xavier's school is there. Yeah, she can only pop out these little, these tiny little snap, crackle, pop things that light up for now. But as she gets older, they are going to get stronger. And essentially, you know, depending on the rate of growth, she'll be able to throw atomic bomb level explosions. So yeah, laugh at her all you want. You just wait. Marvel's always good for that, because that is essentially what Spider-Man is as well, where it's just kind of like, you know, he doesn't know what he's doing right away. He starts that way, but essentially he grows into the premier superhero of Marvel. But the fact that they keep him young is what keeps him from reaching that potential. Which Marvel kind of like loves to stay on that, where DC just like to put out their characters fully formed and with little to some like areas of growth, but they primarily like their icons, which is why they've got so many. But yeah, I just need to look at this pop real quick because yeah, it's a great version of her. I like the fingers being out to help use her powers, and she's got a gun on each side. She is just, I mean, this is somebody, just by looking at her, you know that this person wants to fight. It's like she comes off very aggressive, and it's a very aggressive character. I like how they put the costume together. I love the design they did on this. I mean, you really didn't have to do much as far as just get the costume right, and there's so much detail in the costume that they didn't really want to mess around. But it's a great pop, and even though she's not a character from the comics, Raze went ahead and got it. Still need to get a couple more of the boys' pops. A little behind on those. Definitely need to get Frenchie, because that would be the only member of the boys that Raze doesn't have yet. So, boom! Definitely. Glad they made one of those. But at any rate, wonder if you've even watched The Boys, or if you enjoy it. I mean, I know it's not for everybody, but it's definitely got plenty of shock value, and that's what they're going for. But yeah, let me know in the comments below if you've enjoyed watching the watching the TV show. Heck, let me know if you're a fan of the comic book, because God, I mean, Raze will go on and on about the comic book. You know he will, because he always does. But for right now, gonna go ahead and get out of here. So I hope you have a great day, and never forget that life is full of odd moments. You never know when you're gonna be defined.
Pay you to do it until it takes